Been quiet too long, chewed up tongue. Turn down songs, clock keeps ticking on the wall. But your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard, say every single word. From the low notes to the sky, your hands up high. Let your voice be heard, loud, clear, undeterred.
You got a light, buddy?
Yeah, sure, kid. There you go.
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. Oh, yeah. You got a truth tucked deep in your chest. Heartbeat tapping out, say it, confess. Crowd might stare, let them do what they do. They never held a fire living in you. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you, yeah. Speak up, name your dream out loud. Stand up, you're the leader of this crowd. One spark, one shout, watch the silence melt. Power in your mouth is the truest thing you felt. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word. From the low notes to the sky. Throw your hands up high. Let your voice be heard. Loud, clear, undeterred. If it shakes the room, that's how you know it's you.
Welcome. Once again, to Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. Excuse me. Again, my name is Cloyd Holmes. For those who don't know, my name is Cloyd Holmes. I am the CEO and founder of Man Up Ministry, Inc. I'm also the host of Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. James, hey. This is it's always a blessing, a pleasure to have you here again with us, man. I was looking for Brother John, but he's not here with us. For those who are just joining us, James is a fixture here on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. He has been here. I think, James, you've been here more than any guest we've ever had on the show. Yeah, your story and your journey is amazing. So much so that we just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. So much so that I'm going to announce it, James, that you have your own show now. Starting, was it next week?
Next.
Freedom is the name of it, correct?
That's correct.
Called Freedom, and I'm encouraging everyone. It's at 8:00, right, James? Is that correct?
That's
and we'll have the link that we can join you to continue in on this journey. For those who don't know, James is I don't even know because I don't play the game, but I don't know, James. You still considered a chess master, or is that in your past? Are you still a master of chess?
Yes, yeah. Once you get the title, you don't lose it. Yeah.
Okay, so James is a chess master. James,
but the kids today, they're too tough. They're too tough. So
they're tough.
No, gosh.
Yeah. I don't know, James. James is the author of Chess for Dummies. Yeah. If anyone, I don't even play chess, and I've seen that book 1,000 times. So, and they have a lot of books for dummies, right?
Yes.
It's not just Chess for Dummies. They had I saw a lot of books for dummies. You didn't write those too, did you?
No. The For Dummies series was popular, and they mostly concentrated on computers. And the whole concept was to demystify something that people thought was complicated, and so it was accessible to the everyday person. And then they announced that they were starting a trade press, getting away from just computers. So I wrote them, and I said chess would be a perfect thing. Everyone thinks it's too hard, but I can teach kindergartners to play.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, James is a chess master, and James's story. I would be here for 3 more days if I try to tell the story all over again. But James, James fell into addiction. He fell into alcoholism, and he stopped playing chess. The competitive aspect of it is kind of like, well, we went over this. It's like a trigger, and so James stopped playing competitively. And I see why you stopped playing competitive. I saw you when you came to the office and you playing that guy in the office, and you were not gonna lose. you you wanted to beat him. So that's a trigger to you say when you won, you guys go and celebrate at the bar. And,
right.
Yeah. So that's how it all got started. However,
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
said, and if you lost, you commiserated at the bar.
Yeah. So with that being said, James now he stopped playing chess. So he wrote the book Chess for Dummies, and he wrote another book, Chess. What was it? The other chess book you wrote,
Chess Player's Bible.
Chess Bible, the Chess Bible, Chess Player's Bible. But he doesn't focus on those books anymore. He wrote 2 more books. One's called Freedom, and the other one is No Blame, No Shame. And those are the books that James that he's hanging his hat on today. And those books are awesome. Yeah. James is a trendsetter, as I said, because you see, and then I don't know where other people. I see, Karen, you don't have your hat on because you're the one who came up with a little more James. We all need a little more James, so we start wearing hats like James. James a trendsetter.
It's okay.
Yeah. In the aspect of not of just in fashion because of the hat, but James is a trendsetter in the aspect for me of the zeal to want to help people and what that does for a person. What that does for him is how you have triggers to make you for alcohol or to relapse, triggers that'll take you back. That's a trigger to keep him on the road of staying clean, of recovery. Just I see, Karen. I see you got your hat, huh? Okay. And that is something that really touched me because James has he has a I don't know, he has this passion to want to help somebody, to want to help people with his story and with his journey. And that's awesome. That's awesome. Karen, it's not that time yet. I see you have your hand up.
No, what I want to say, James, I have a cold, so I sound a little rough. But what I want to say is James coming on the show is his story keeps on giving. You know what I mean? It's a difference. A little more James, but his story keeps giving. It's never a takeaway. He's giving to his audience, and that is such an awesome thing to me.
Yeah, the arts. That's you're absolutely correct. The awesome thing is he's giving, but there's a takeaway. Because he gets the takeaway. He gets what he's taken away from giving, and that's awesome. That's awesome. Now we've been going through this thing for the last 4 or 5 weeks of speaking on recovery and people because it's such a vast topic that even when it's nobody wants to say anything about it, all of a sudden because of your transparency, all of a sudden hands just start going up. People start spilling the beans and start opening up and say, you know what, I'm dealing with something too, or I've been there, or I have a family member. Now we start talking about all of these things, and we had the brother on here, John, who was very transparent about his son and how his son is struggling with drug addiction and how he's going through it with his 16 or 15-year-old son. and we were on that path. So, and you were talking about how addiction affects family members and how the family deals with it. So, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, James. The floor over to you, and then we'll we get the panel to chime in and give us some feedback on some things they may be wondering about or some questions they may have. But I'm gonna stop right here as we were talking about family being affected by addiction. The floor is yours, James E.
Thank you once again, Cloyd. That was a wonderful uh, lead in into the conversation of addiction and recovery. And it is possible for everyone to recover. If people have doubts, they don't think it applies to them. They think you just don't understand me and what I'm going through. And the fact is that the more you meet people and the more you talk to them, you find out your story is different in some ways, but the similarities are the most important part of it. And you start talking to somebody who's been through what you've been through or something very much like it, and they start nodding their head in understanding. And you talk to somebody who hasn't had that experience, and you can use 1,000 words with them, and there still won't be that level of understanding, that connection. And so what I have made it my job to do is to remove the stigma because according to the CDC, 48 million people are suffering from some sort of addiction. And what we don't do is talk about it. And one of the things is that I have discovered, and many people have found the same thing to be true for them, is if you do talk about it, some of the shame goes away because you do find understanding. And shame is one of the lowest vibrations. I can't be creative. I can't be my highest self if I'm lowered by shame. So we have to rid ourselves of that and many other things as well. But the idea is to be able to, in the medical world now, they're talking about it as, in my case, alcohol usage disorder. In case of drugs, it's substance use disorder. So that change the language around it and you remove some of the baggage. And because these disorders can be treated, they can't be cured. No one promises a cure. You know, this is something that we all have to, if you're done what I've done, you always have to remember that. You're not cured, but it can be treated. And part of the way of treating it is to talk to somebody who's been through it, just enough that you can relate. Because once you establish that connection, you never feel quite as alone again. And I always say to myself, anyways, I can be all by myself, but I'm never truly alone because that connection is still there. And I know I can text or call people and they will pick up and we can talk about whatever the struggles is. And they can call me or text me and say, I'm going through a hard time and we can connect and we're always there for each other. And I never thought in a million years that I would need support from a community of people. And that it was a shock and it was a bit of, it was, I had, some level of disbelief when I found out that I did need support. One of the hardest things was for me to admit that I needed help. And I found that over and over and over again, an unwillingness to say that you need help. And this is a barrier that can prevent you from getting into recovery. But if you can get past this and realize that everyone needs help sometime. And, when people reach out, I want my hand to be extended to greet them, to take their hand. But everybody doesn't need my help. Everybody needs some kind of help. So there's some people I work with, some people other people work with, and you can find out that other people that have been through something very similar to what you've been through and work with them, and it can help you because when you're starting to, we say I didn't have a drinking disease, I had a thinking disease. When you start to think screwy again, you could talk to somebody and all of a sudden your thinking straightens out again.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing you have to do is detox. You have to get the toxic substances out of your system. And once you get them out of your system, then you can start to recovery. You know,
Yeah.
you can, and this is what there are rehabs and things like that that are and medical situation arenas available for us to detox. And that's the first thing is get the toxins out. But then you need community support. Again, I wouldn't have thought that in a million years that I needed that. And I resisted it. I resisted it and resisted it until I had to admit to myself that I needed help. And I didn't know which way to go. And I was directed by my doctor to go a certain way. And I put it off for 3 months. And I can remember sitting in my backyard. It was a hot summer day. And I said, oh, yeah, one beer tastes really good right now. And I thought to myself, I'm going to do it. And I heard my doctor's voice who had told me that if you drink, you'll die. And I don't mean eventually. And I realized I heard this voice in my head just when I was thinking about going to get that beer. And I realized one beer wouldn't be enough. One beer would lead to two, and two beers wouldn't be enough. And I'd be back where I was. And it's a place I never wanted to go again.
Hmm.
And so that's when I kind of hit my bottom and realized I needed to go and get help. The kind of help that he had recommended 3 months earlier. But because I was so stubborn, I wouldn't admit it.
Hmm.
And, but when I did start to recover, I found that as the weeks turned into months, my judgment started to improve again. And I could start to trust myself again. And later in recovery, this is maybe a year into it, more, maybe more, I started to trust this inner resonance within myself. And that has been my guide ever since. Because I was out of touch with it. I was disconnected from it. But I think it's part of the spark of life that we're given, that we have an idea of what is right and wrong, what feels like the next right thing to do. But I, for one, disconnected from it. So I wasn't in touch with it. And I used my brain. Sometimes my brain led me astray because my brain was driven by my ego, and it was my ego that made decisions. And now I find myself trying to tap into a higher consciousness and letting that be my guide. And if I'm puzzled, if I'm not sure of what to do, I think of the options and I trust the inner resonance within to guide me to say that, yeah, that is mine to do. That's my next right thing to do. So reaching out, being on shows such as this, doing this, writing books, doing podcasts, whatever it takes for me to get the message out that everyone can recover. It's not
Right.
just a few, but you will have to change your mind. You
Right.
have to change your perspective about life. And it's not so much, and I used to think that people were the problem. If people were just different, I would be okay. Now I had to change me. And turns out that's the only person I can change. It's myself. And the people, I don't think of
Hmm.
people as a problem anymore. In fact, people are part of the solution. But talking about it, because when I was growing up, we had an unwritten rule that there was never a problem as long as you didn't talk about it. Excuse me. Pardon me. Mhm. And if you talked about it, you became the problem. So these are the things that if there was something, there was alcoholism in my family, they just didn't talk about it. So I think the answer, part of the solution is to talk about it and remove the stigma, remove the idea it's a shameful thing or you're immoral, you're somehow a failure. Because there's 48 million people in this boat
And and
today.
and with that being said, I don't want to cut you off, but you spoke about something just now. You said a word, family, and you said 48 million people in the across the world, I guess. Oh, that's the
No,
United
in the United
States.
States.
Okay, that suffer from some type of addiction. I want to touch on another level of something because I still have it in my heart, in my spirit. John McCullum on this show
Yeah,
last week with you, and what
yeah,
this man is going through with his 15-year-old child being addicted. and just out of control. Um, give I don't know. I'm looking for some answers on how we, as you said, your family was uh, addicted. It
No,
was
no.
alcoholism in your family,
Yes.
but you never talked about it.
Right.
So, is that something that we can put out there as advice for families going through stuff with the children and with the say their mom and dad, their brothers and sisters that are addicted, because we don't realize, like I didn't, uh, until it hit me that what I do affects other people.
Yes.
See, you don't realize that you're doing what you're doing. It's not just you. It's there's other people involved. So now when those other people are involved, what do they do? Give me
Well,
something on that.
sure. But also, when I bent the knee to the tyranny of addiction, I also didn't care about the effects. So that's one of the things. I was just looking for, do I have enough? Can I get more? And how do I get more? And so everything else was like secondary to that. So when you put yourself in the mind of the addict, they're not like they've lost all their humanity. It's just that the disease has them so twisted that their behavior is being compelled by the addiction. And I say it's a tyranny. Well, the tyrant is merciless, shows no mercy. And this is a cruel thing to have anyone experience. But now what we're talking about is that it's also a family disease. Anyone who's in love with loves that person or cares about them or is part of their family, um, they suffer too. The pain and suffering is not just felt by the addict themselves. It's also a family experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a book that I met the author. I can't remember her name right now. Sorry. Saving Jake. And it was about her as a mother trying to save her son. It's just almost exactly the type, or similar enough to the type of experience that John was talking about with him and his son. Um, and there's also sister programs. For example, if you're in alcoholic addiction, there's a sister program called Al-Anon. They talk about AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. This is Al-Anon. It's a sister program, and it's solely for those people who have family members or loved ones that are struggling with addiction. So we can steer them to that kind of program. And there, they meet the same thing that the addict does when he's trying to recover. He or she's trying to recover. It's one of the things that these people can go and find people who have been through it. They may have gone through it for 20 years, and they've learned a lot of stuff and they can share that stuff with you. But the main
Yeah.
thing is that you get that feeling of support and understanding. Because when you start to tell your story, they start to nod their heads like, yep, yep, I get it. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And feeling like you're not being judged and feeling like you're understood, these are these are things that are hard to come by in your everyday walk around life. Um, it's an immense help for someone who's struggling with the disease, whatever the disease is, substance abuse, substance usage disorder, alcohol usage disorder, whatever it is, there are people that have been through it. These are family members, and then they can counsel you and you trade phone numbers and we're all any time of day, and sometimes you can't take the calls and hopefully they move on to the next person,
Yeah.
because life gets in the way sometimes.
Right.
And but we're basically, there are meetings that people can go to, scheduled meetings. Some
Yeah.
of them are in person, some of them are on Zoom, but I was trying to tell John to reach out to one of them to try to
Well,
get in contact.
yeah, that's good. That's perfect because I love what I do here. I love this platform. I love this show. I love because there's so many people with different aspects of
Pardon me.
journeys that they've been through in life. that are willing to share on this platform and are willing to. There's people, that guy John, and there's people there's people that are transparent, and we have questions pouring in from all social media, plus the panel here. When a subject matter and somebody's being so transparent that they're going through something similar.
Right.
So you are absolutely correct, I think, when you say to
Pardon me.
talk about it, to talk
Yeah.
about it. But how do you get people to talk about it?
Right.
Somebody, we pride ourselves here at Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio as this being a safe place
Yes.
that you can share and talk about it. Nobody's gonna make a phone call when we get off here. Did you hear what they said?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not what we do here. I mean, this is Let Your Voice Be Heard. We talk about
Yeah,
it.
you
You
just
know,
nailed it. That's the thing when you walk into these rooms, if it's an in-person meeting, you know, there is a safety aspect of it.
yes,
Because, you know, if you said, well, he's in this room, you go, well, so are you.
that's
You
right.
know, so you're in this together and you're supportive and it's safe. And although there are some people, you know, I always say, you know, people will say something like, well, that's a cult. And I say, it's not a cult. There are cultists in it. But the organization's not a cult because it's safe. You can come, you can leave, and we welcome you back when people have relapses. At a meeting I went to on Wednesday, there were two people that came back after relapses, and they weren't being judged, you know, they were being hugged and they were being supported,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because relapse is part of many people's story.
Yeah,
And the last thing they need is someone to say, you know, oh, you stopped doing the work, you stopped doing, you know, no one needs to hear any negative kind of you know, vibe from you. You know, so
right.
it's all positive. I'm so glad to see you. Welcome back. Make sure they have numbers to call, people that they can talk to. You know, all of that kind of stuff means a lot. And one of the things that we talk about when people come back, sometimes they don't want to announce it. Um, and that's part of the shame. That's why no
Yeah,
blame, no shame is trying to tackle that vibration of shame. You know, just be yourself, be authentic. Hold your head high and look people in the eye. And it's
yeah,
okay because it's not because you're stupid, immoral, or anything like it. The disease is always it's cunning. We say it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And sometimes you just don't know when that is going to sound like the guy who was talking said, you know, vodka and tonic sounded like a good idea. I don't know why. But once I had one, I made the next one a double. That's the disease talking. That's
right,
our thinking.
right,
Because
right.
once you start again, you know, it's a progressive disease too. You don't pick up and go slowly. You pick up pretty much where you left off. And
Yeah,
even though you've been clean and sober, you're progressing in that need. And when
yeah,
that addict mind, that tyranny of addiction gets you again, man, I talked about it having no mercy. Well, it will put you through the ringer and it won't take long, maybe
yeah,
a week or two before you're back at the worst you ever were.
yes.
And so I've never seen someone who's been addicted go back and become a casual user,
Let me
a
ask you this,
social
man.
drinker.
Let me ask you this because, and I think I may have asked this before, but since you're on that subject, um, in the recovery, in this alcoholic anonymous thing, and you speaking about what you're talking about now is relapse
Yeah.
is going back, right?
And there are many programs besides that. There are
Yeah,
Refuge Recovery, Recovery Dharma, Yoga and the 12 Steps.
but
There's
it's
lots of help out there.
but it's
Doesn't
the
have to be, I was just
is it
directed to that.
yeah, hey, we just talking about that. There's other, there's other addictions as well. Um,
Right. Right.
is the relapse, is that considered a part of your recovery? Is that expected?
Well, it's a great question. And the answer, from my point of view, and others may disagree with this, is that no, it's not expected, but it is understood that it happens. And there's no judgment because it's part of that person's story. We always say, it's a race, but it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, and people have ups and downs, and people do go out and come back. And these are the types of things that depends on the person's story. I know people with 50 years clean and sober, and they're wonderful people to know, and they didn't have any of this relapse business. But there are people that have been in and out, in and out, in and out, and then one day it kind of clicks, and then they get some long-term sobriety under the belt, long-term clean and sober. So everybody's experience is different,
Right.
and we don't have to say that you will relapse. We don't expect you to relapse. We want always to be looking positive, putting positive spin on these things that you will, but we also tell ourselves we only have today. I can't tell you I'm going to be sober, clean and sober tomorrow. I don't know.
Right.
I have no guarantees.
That's
I only
right.
have today.
Yeah.
And I can
That's right.
only tell you that in this moment, I have no desire to use or drink
Hmm.
because there's no problem for me that one drink can't make worse. And,
Let me,
but everybody has a different story to tell, and
yeah,
relapse is part of a lot of stories. Not everyone, but a lot of them. It's just
yeah.
okay. It's all
I,
right.
I'm not sure if I asked this question or not last week, but I want to make sure that I get all, because we have questions pouring in from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I think this one came from YouTube, and I don't know if I asked it. And it's from a guy named Keith O'Neill in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he says, what legacy do you hope to leave both as a chess master and as someone living in recovery?
Well, it's a great question. Thank you for the question, Peter. And my chess legacy is pretty much there. I've established it, and I'm not going to necessarily add to it because I have done a pivot towards helping people recover from whatever their addiction is. And that's the thing chess was the passion of my life, and it's a wonderful, you know, thing to do. I say if you teach a child chess, you're teaching them a gift that can last a lifetime. It's an educational tool when they're young because when you get to play chess, you can play chess. We don't tell them this, but they think it. I must be smart, and they get confidence. And it's confidence that's directly translatable back into other classroom situations. And as an adult, it's a pleasant pastime. You can play a game with a buddy. And in old age, it's a solace. The typical thing is old men playing in the park and playing chess in a park. And the thing is, they're not thinking about anything else but the game. They're not thinking about their medical problems, their bills, or anything else. They're just playing chess.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things, and that's what I used to love about it is that, because it takes to play at the master level, requires a lot of concentration, and you have to be focused. And so the rest of the world really just melts away. It's not there. And for 3, 4 hours, however long the game takes, that's all that I'm thinking about. And and I'm using my imagination, I'm using my discipline, I'm using all these things. And at the end of the game, you're pretty much spent, but you know, you have been through a very positive experience. Even if you lose, the experience itself until you start to lose and you're going to lose, and then that's kind of miserable. But until then, you're wrapped up into something it's very intense, but it's also very rewarding. So that game. And so I've written 6 books on chess, including the bestseller Chess for Dummies, and translated into 8 languages. So Chess Player's Bible has been translated into 7 languages. I've done all the kinds of things. I was on the board of the National Governing Organization in the United States. I was on the board of the World Governing Organization. So I got into all these types of things that people don't think about when they're playing chess, but they have to be. It's like FIFA and soccer. There has to be someone gathering all these countries and together, and they have to be able to certify, yes, this person really is a master. Yes, this person really is this, and so I got involved in all of it, and I did everything that you probably can do in chess. But my pivot to recovery, this is just getting started for me. And I've written two books. I've got a third one hoping to come out next year. And the main purpose of these things, the podcasts that I do, all these types of things are to get the message out that it's, you know, if you're saying my family doesn't have any of this, you might be suffering from a delusion because if there's 48 million people, multiply the number of family members that are infected by that.
You
How
get
many
somebody.
people? That's a lot of people. And so they can't all be dumb. They can't all be immoral. They can't all be these things, these negative things that we would say about them. What is the source of this? And, I look back at my childhood. In my childhood, no blame to my parents. They were doing the best they could, but neither of my parents had any problems with alcohol. All four of their children did.
Mm.
So there was something chaotic about our upbringing, something that was amiss, something and you develop childlike defense mechanisms that serve you when you're young, and they turn into survival mechanisms. These defense mechanisms turns into survival instincts, and you self-medicate to relieve the anxiety in my case. And there are so many people that are just trying to change the way they feel, and you get desperate to change the way you feel because you don't know how to do it otherwise. When I was introduced to alcohol in the seventh grade, I was like, wow, you know, this is magic because now people got funnier, they got smarter, they got prettier. All of a sudden I started to like people. And it's one of those things where the anxiety went away. And so people are not necessarily talking about their anxiety either, and there's a stigma in our society. Everybody else is calm, cool, and collected. Look at them; they're just doing fine. That's just the outside looking in. You don't know. You don't have any idea what that person's going through. It could be, we all develop coping mechanisms. At least most of us do. And the coping mechanisms that I developed as a child no longer served as an adult, but they were so hardcore written into my programming, so to speak. They were just such a part of me that I would say to keep people away. That just was the natural. Hey, Jim, you want to do this? No. Okay. Uh, but then there was you want to get high? Yes. Like in the
Mm.
seventh grade, the guy asked me if I wanted to split a nickel bag. I had no idea what a nickel bag was, but I said yes, because it was like that promise of relief. I could
Right.
change the way I felt. And so much of this is going on, and we can all talk about it. But the thing is that these defense mechanisms are so intertwined into your program that when you start to recover, they no longer serve, and you want to let them fade away. But they don't on their own. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of thinking, talking about it, and saying, "Why am I anxious right now?" For example, there's no one pointing a gun at me. I'm not in any physical danger. And I used to think I knew what the word calm meant because to me, calm was just a lower state of anxiety. I thought that's what people meant when they were saying they were calm. But I got into yoga and it's the breathing mechanisms, the breathing rituals that they taught me. That was one of the things that I really, now, if I ever feel anxious, one deep breath. Sometimes I have to take more than one, but usually just one is enough to restore me to a state of calm. And I have rituals that I do every morning of every day, and they get me because I don't wake up spiritually fit. I don't wake up calm, cool, and collected. I don't wake up serene or peaceful, but I go for a long walk and I do a lot of rituals. I go through chakras, I go through meditate, I do a period of meditation, and all of these things make me feel at peace,
Mhm.
safe. There's no one threatening me. And I get in touch with that inner resonance that I described earlier. Now that might last until I get inside and I look at the top headline of the day, and I might get all anxious, agitated again. But
Uh,
I know, and this is experience. I mean, confident. I'm confident because it's based on experience. I know I've already done it once that day. I can do it again, and this time because I've already done it once. Just one calm breath, deep breath though, in and out, and hold it for a minute, for not a minute, but for a period of time for when you inhale, and then just let it out in a rush. And whew, you feel that sense of calmness, and that's what you want to keep. But I can't
yes.
maintain it 24/7. I'm not trying to tell anyone they can. But you can always, when your awareness kicks in, hey, wait a minute, I'm wound up. This is not the kind of behavior I want to do. Take a deep breath. That's what works for me. You might find something else that works for you. But it's one of those things where you go, okay, and you can restore yourself. And when you're calm, you make good decisions. When you're anxious, your decisions may be somewhat suboptimal.
We have, thank you for that, man. I was getting ready to say, it's that time. We're going to ask the panel. Anybody got any questions? Because if you don't, I do. I always got something to say, man. I see Ganunge. I see your hand is up. And if you notice, I got your name down pat, bro.
Hey.
I got
Yay, bonjour, McDuck. So, James, I have a question. It's not really a question, it's more of a comment. And this is a book written back in the 1930s for Alcohol Anonymous. And the quote is allergy of the body and obsession of the mind. Have you ever heard anything similar to that?
Yes.
Because truthfully, I am actually allergic to alcohol. It does have a side effect of burning and itching of the skin, and that is
That's a
the
true allergy.
normal
Yeah.
normal allergy. So my question is, when you have people who come to you and say, hey, James, I suffer from alcohol, but I also have a dandruff because of this addiction. What would you say about that? I mean, would that be a cause and effect, or would that be just, oh yeah, you, because you've been doing this for so long,
the
now
reason to
your
quit.
skin is all dried out because of your consequences of going back and forth between what is right and what's wrong.
Yeah, well, great question. And yeah, we say that, and it's an allergy of the body. I take a little bit of an issue with that because I'm allergic to penicillin. I break out in hives. If I take a sip of alcohol, that doesn't happen to me. But I'm going to elaborate on that point. I'll get to your other comment and talk about a little bit about what about these other effects. And yeah, people manifest the effects in different ways. So what happens to one person may not happen to another. This is something I've learned over time, talking with a lot of people, and the idea that this will happen to you or this won't happen to you. I try to avoid these types of comments or statements because I don't know what the effect is going to be on you. For example, when I say deep breathing is one of my go-to for recovery, that works for a lot of people, it turns out, but it doesn't work for everyone. So they have to find something else. And some people might have the skin dry out. You see a lot of moisturizer.
Right.
But and that's predictable. And that is a physical side effect. And one of the things is it is a psychoactive substance, and this is the thing that I would concentrate on. But it does have a physical effect on the body as well. And some people, I talk about this a little bit, and people usually laugh. But do you remember a time when you could feel you were getting a little tipsy? There's that you're starting to drink and you start to feel a little bit tipsy. And then a lot of people say, "Oh, I've had enough. I don't want any more." And the people that have the disease, that's the effect they're looking for. That's not
But
a
but
sign.
isn't the disease also among the family because it's subconsciously trained?
Well, that's opening up another great
I know
topic.
I'm opening up another can of worms. I know.
Yeah, yeah, but it's a great topic. I don't think we have enough time to explore that and for what, to give it the worth that it has. Um, there's things there are genetic issues. There's no question that, in my mind, that there's a genetic component to it. And the second thing is yeah, your childhood experiences have a definite effect. And this is one of the things that we don't like to talk about because it sounds like you're blaming your parents. But, you can look at these things objectively with some coming from a place of neutrality, not judging bad or good. They were good parents, bad parents. No, that's not what you're doing. You're taking what was the reality of my situation and how did I react to it? And what about the defense mechanisms that I developed as a child? As a child, you probably didn't develop the best defense mechanisms. You didn't know better, right? So,
Right.
you know, but I hope that helps a little bit there. I
No,
just,
I was
Thank you so
I'm
much.
in the medicine with you, dude.
They,
It's
yeah,
all just learning and processing. Like, oh, this causes this, and this causes that,
yeah,
and if
yeah.
you do this, this is the parallel of it's the swing of the pendulum. If you do it one way, then it comes back and bites in the ass.
Yeah, and it was a little trial and error for me too. So you try something, hey dad, it doesn't work for me. Try something else and that is. And then I think of it as the universe just reflects back to me. It's like I get that inner resonance, that connection that I feel. I start to feel it and I start to think, yeah, this is the right thing for me to do. And the same thing when I check in and it's telling me, oh, Jim, that's not your path. That's not for you to do. And this has been my guide in recovery. Uh,
yeah.
but it doesn't come overnight. It's not an overnight sensation.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much, man. Thank you
thank
so
you
much for
so
that.
much.
Thank you for that, James. I see Michael Turner, man. Michael, it's a blessing, a pleasure to have you here with us. I spent the day basically with Michael today talking, man. We had such an awesome time.
Yeah.
Just before you ask your question, let me introduce you. Michael will be on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio on Tuesday.
Yeah.
What time we
Cool.
go? What time are you on, Michael?
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock. Michael has an amazing journey to share with us. I'm just going to give you just a little bit. You got to come back next week. His journey is going to take us from losing his children in a car accident
Oof.
to prison to finding his purpose. I'm just going to leave you with that. And he has an awesome book that we go get into next on Tuesday. You guys got to hear this. You got to hear this stuff, man. It's amazing. This man is amazing. Um,
Not me.
James,
Not
this
me.
man's now okay. Well, you okay? His journey is amazing, and what he's been brought through is amazing. Come on, Michael, what's your question?
Thank you. Thank you very much. James, nice to meet you. I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit on and get your view on something that was mentioned earlier. Lloyd was talking about the gentleman from last week whose child is now stuck in addiction and how he's trying to navigate that and deal with it. And um, both from being someone who had an addiction of one type in my lifetime, and then also dealing with family members who are addicts and have addictions. Um, from my view, and you can clarify, and I'd like to get your insight on this. It seems like the family member seems to take it personal
Yes.
and to feel like I've got to figure a way to fix this. And ultimately you end up pushing harder than you would ever pull. And I think there needs to be a way for the family to learn that, hey, we can be here, we can support, we can be honest and call out what it is, but without being judgmental, because that healing and recovery, I don't think is going to happen until you have just had enough and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and you're
Absolutely.
ready to reach out for that help. So
Right.
I'd kind of like to get your insight on that.
Yeah. And you're looking for like uh clarify for me the addict's relationship to the rest of his family members. Is that what you're asking about? Or
Yeah, because he's my understanding is his child is
yeah.
now going through this addiction and he's
Yeah.
trying to learn how to cope with that.
Right, right, right. Oh, huge issue, and it's very moving to listen to him speak about it. But one of the things, and I think this gets to the crux of what you're saying, is that he's putting a lot of blame on himself. He's trying not to, but he's still putting blame on himself. What could I have done differently? Did I do too much of this, too little of that? And that's not the reason, you know, especially with the child that he's talking about, the experiences that child had prior to his adopting him, all of these
Right.
types of things. But the parents, and it's always like, I'll blame the mother. If the mother was a better mother, everything would have,
Right.
this wouldn't have happened. Oh man, there's something in our society where this is happening to 48 million people.
Yeah.
There's something that's pervasive out there. And don't blame yourself. Don't, as the addict, you have to show yourself self-compassion. And we want to tell the family as well the same thing. This is why these sister groups are there, for the support system for the family members, because everybody will, the first thing they go to is self-blame.
Yeah.
And it's not like I've never done it. I've gone down the rabbit hole of self-blame to the point of self-loathing, too often to count. And now it's because in recovery now, I noticed that there's a 10-foot front from the rabbit hole. It says rabbit hole 10 feet ahead.
Yeah.
I used to walk right by it,
Yeah.
fall
Yeah.
into it. Now I see it. I'm pretty sure there's one that says rabbit hole 50 feet ahead. I haven't seen that one yet. But if I keep doing the things I'm doing, I think I will.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll stop before I get too close to that rabbit hole because I know what's down there and it's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Excellent.
it involves blame and shame. And you don't put that on you. It's not your fault. And the reason I say that is because everybody seems to do it.
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly.
And it can't be everybody's fault, and it isn't one thing that is the reason. And one of the things that is going on in our society is that there is a pervasive, and I believe a big component of it is not talking about it. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to hear your problems. They want you to talk about your problems. And so we have to learn to be more constructive in the way we state problems, and the more sympathetic and empathetic when we hear problems,
Hmm.
and stay in the attitude of neutrality rather than judgment. Don't say that's good, that's bad, but be neutral in your perspective so that you can say something that is, well, here's what I would do if I was in that situation. And it's a positive thing to say. And also caution that that might not work for you. I think it would work for me, but I'm not sure what would work for you because a lot of this is they've got to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
And and like you said, they have to I had to hit a bottom before I asked for help, was willing to accept help. Now I'm more willing than I ever was before. That doesn't mean my go-to is willingness.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I have to work at this,
Yeah.
you know, and I can't take days off because a guy like me will take a day off and I'll take 2 days off. Pretty much I'm on vacation and I'm not doing the work at all. So I just made it part of my life. Try to do certain things every morning of every day. And I mix up things during the week that I go to. I have meetings in person Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, Sundays as well, sometimes and I have a Zoom on Thursdays. So, and everybody needs to kind of structure their life a little bit so that they get the support that they need, because the discipline and structure were absent when I was in the throes of my addiction.
Excellent. Thank you, James.
Man,
More than welcome. Thank you for the question.
thank you so much, and thank you for the question, Michael. Danielle, I see you, and it is always an honor, a blessing to see you. Welcome back. It's good to see your face.
Thank you. It's been a hot minute. I know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Come on
Hey,
in now.
James. How you
Ah,
doing?
I'm doing great. Defying gravity.
Defying gravity.
Nothing can
Opposite
bring me
of up.
down. Yeah. I like that movie.
Gravity's our weight. Okay. So I love that these conversations about how that internal dialogue that's coming in, especially with the addiction, because I know that there is people don't realize that we get into our own addiction of that self-loathing, that self-blaming, because that's the most rational sense that makes sense to equate to that emotion. And then the numbiness of the drinking and also the recovery, because we don't know what that new self feels like. We know,
Right.
we just remember the heaviness of that trauma or the incidents that hold us in that void, and that's why we went to the alcohol, or maybe even just the thrill of it for that high, that the dopamine high. So what advice would you offer people who can't remember that reference of joy, or
Yeah.
how it is to remember to pause long enough to reframe that thinking?
Oh, that was a great way to put it at the very end there. Um, I'm not in the business of advice so much as I am suggestions, because everybody's, got their own take on things. And I try to meet people where they're at and say what they can hear. And that's based on the individual. And if I spend a little time with them, I get an idea of where they're at. And then I can tell them what they need to hear. Not so much like there's not one size fits all and one magic answer. And it's tailored to the individual as much as possible. And I think for me, this has been uh, the reason for whatever effectiveness I've had. Um, but the type of there's so much in just that couple of statements that you made. Like what is it that we're trying to numb? And numbing is what a lot of us talk about, is we're numbing the way we feel. And and why is that? Because what we're feeling is unpleasant. And what's at the bottom of that? A lot of times when we look at it, we take a hard look at it. People often talk about fear and shame and things like that. But also, I think there's an element of a lack of self-worth. And many times I talk about with people who have all the academic accomplishments and that kind of thing. And we call ourselves egomaniacs with inferiority complexes.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things where we can be very full of ourselves, but inside we know the real truth and we shrink down when we think about ourselves the way we're not the selves that we're showing the world, but the self that's inside, and we think it's not worth it. And I always did that. A lot of my accomplishments were based on because I wanted the outside affirmation that I wasn't a piece of, fill the crap emoji right now, but I felt that way. And I felt I wasn't good enough because the bars I set for myself were so high. I don't know who could make them, but I couldn't. So I was always feeling I didn't do enough. I couldn't do enough, and I wasn't good enough. And so you numb that sense of feeling, that self-worth. And what you have to install in people is that sense of self-worth. And you want to empower the powerless and give hope to the hopeless, because those are the people that you're dealing with when they're in the throes of their addiction. And these are the types of things that you can do. And I was amazed to find out that I could do it, that I could sit next to someone and they were sobbing. They were so beside themselves, but I just stayed calm, and they somehow they pick up on that calm state of mind. But you can't give what you don't have. I had to be calm to give that sense of calm to them,
Hmm.
and I
So
also tell them,
is it a way almost like retraining that imposter syndrome mentality that we give ourselves
yeah.
for those behaviors?
Yeah, I suffer from the imposter syndrome
Okay.
very much. When, even though I would get these accomplishments, I would say, yeah, you gave me an award, but you don't really know me. You wouldn't have given it to me if you really know me, but so I had to keep achieving. And, it's never enough because that sense of self-worth has to come from within.
Hmm.
It's
I
not
appreciate
outside accolades that will give it to you. You've got to develop it for yourself. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I love you. And the best I could do when I looked in the mirror was say, hey, you're not so bad. So start slow, you know? You might
Thank
not be
you.
able to say that, but
Listen,
but that's the type of thing you have to be kind to yourself, show compassion to yourself, because we may be spiritual beings, but we're having human experiences.
Yep, you're a human, not a human doing.
thank you.
Yep.
We thank you so much, man. Man, thank you,
Thank you
James,
for the
man. You
question.
guys, wow. I'm gonna see if anybody else have anything before we go. I have three things that I need to speak on real quick before we get out of here, guys. James, you awesome, my brother. You're
Thank you.
awesome, and we love you here on Let Your Voice Be Heard Talk Radio. We are going to encourage each and every person here to join James at 8 o'clock on Fridays on his new show called Freedom. We will put out the link for you to go on there, and this will be every Friday. James will be on Freedom at 8 o'clock. We also have on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We have a young lady, an awesome lady, man. This lady is awesome. Michelle Bishop. Michelle Bishop is a master certified life coach and trauma informed wellness speaker, helping women and organizations navigate grief and change, rebuild their health, and step into lasting resilience physically, mentally, and emotionally. Michelle is a speaker of resilience, wellness, and rebuilding. Michelle has a book that if you want to look it up, it's called Choose You First. She will be on at 6 o'clock Tuesday, and I'm encouraging everyone to come and check her out. Again, we have awesome, amazing guest at Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and he's here with us tonight. That's Mr. Michael Turner, man. His story is man. You guys, it's amazing. It's, to say the least. Talk about transparency. Man, listen. I had the pleasure of getting one of his books today. I got him to sign my book. that was great. But I got a signed book, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And his book, you guys should, man. I'm encouraging everybody to go and get it. It's on Amazon. Michael, is your book on Amazon?
It is actually we've got just two left, and we're waiting on the restock to come in. So once those two are gone, it may tell you that it's not available.
That's all right.
But we'll announce when it is. It shouldn't take that much longer for the printer to get it into us.
I got mine.
Yeah,
I got mine, and mine is signed. And this book is awesome. It's called Choices: A Journey from Bad Decisions to Good Results by Micah Turner. You guys look that up. And if you can't get the book, it'll be available soon. But man, listen, on top of the book, we got the real deal. We got him with us. He'll be with us Tuesday, man, at 7 o'clock. You guys tune in, man. And come and support. Come in. It's the story is awesome. It's amazing. James, listen, James, your story and his, man, you guys are amazing, man. You guys should, I don't know, you guys just keep coming, man, and keep on, keep. I thank God for you, because you have no shame, as your book is. Don't blame, no shame, and you don't mind. You're super transparent. You sharing things that I'm like, wow. I scratch my head, man. Would I have said that? I don't know if I would have told anybody that, And it's awesome, guys. You guys keep doing what you're doing, man. It is awesome. I love you guys, man. You guys keep coming, man. I'll see you guys soon. See you next time. This your boy now.
A special thank you to Tony Holmes, owner and founder of Let Your Voice Be Heard, for creating a platform where every voice matters and every story has the opportunity to be heard. Until next time, and remember, let your voice be heard. It's your boy now.
On the wall, but your name's still missing from the roll call. Let your voice be heard. Say every single word, from the low notes to the